Good morning, everybody. So we'll start our subject, but I'll give a brief introduction of the subject before actually getting into that. Okay. Combined math is this is the only country in which you have combined math. In the other countries, you can see such a subject. Uh, teaching a subject like this. Usually in schools, they teach pure maths, applied maths, or sometimes higher maths, not combined maths, right? The history of this combined maths, I'll give you a brief introduction of the emergence of this subject. Earlier, before 2000, we had pure and applied. In fact, to get selected for engineering, you need to do these four subjects. You know, not you, the students need to do these four subjects. So there was a committee after the, JP insurrection in 1989. These days there's a popular film called Father. That movie is about that period. Not exactly the period, about one incident happened in that period, right? So those, due to that problem, uh, we lost nearly 60,000 lives. Then the government appointed the committee. Then they recommended several, they came up with several suggestions. One is to reduce the four subjects into three. That's one thing. Second is like providing a lot of opportunities, for the A-level students, like regional universities. Like due to that recommendation, now we have Rajarat University, Sabargama University, Vyam University, Northeastern University, right? Just to provide more opportunities for the students. And also they, encourage private universities as well after the recommendation. Then anyway, now there were two options here. For engineering, one option was chemistry, physics, and combined math. Combined math is composed by taking the easy parts of pure and applied. The other one is physics, uh, combined math, and higher math. Higher math again comprises these two, but more difficult parts, right? So there were two suggestions. However, in the last committee, now there were several committees. In all committees, these two were approved. Finally, in the last committee, the convener of the meeting, then there were two people, like Peradini, Dean of University of Peradini, Dean of University of Morato. Those were the only two engineering faculties at that time. Then, in 2000, uh, then what happened? The dean of University of Peradini had both options, but he couldn't go. He became sick on that particular day, so he couldn't go. And no substitution was made because it happened just, say meeting was about 11 o'clock. He became sick by 8 o'clock. So he was rushed to the hospital. So only this suggestion came to the, presented by the Dean of Moratua. So now this was finalized afterwards. So so if somebody say there's a person who hates chemistry, could have come up with a good result if he or she takes this combination. But we don't have that combination anymore because of that. So that is not there anymore. So this is our combination. Now combined math is combined math comprises the easy parts of these two. Easy parts of pure and easy parts of applied. Right? Uh, then in 2008, anyway, there's one more recommendation made by them. That was make the papers easier. right? In fact, it happened in 2000 to 2005. Afterwards, the paper setters or who set the paper have forgotten the basics of, I mean, long time ago, these decisions were made. But by 2006, I think they have forgotten that idea. So papers became very difficult. In 2008 to 10, they were extremely difficult. The pass rate was little low. Then again, there was another committee appointed. Uh, in that committee, again, they wanted to make the paper easier because the failure rate is too high. Then what they did was, they introduced, like, you have a first paper for math, like short questions, like very simple questions. Say, for example, if you take X rupees to a boutique, go to a shop, you buy some goods for Y rupees. So what's the balance? So X minus Y, like that. I mean, not all the questions are like that, but some of them are like this. So they wanted to give some, easy questions in part one. So in 2011, for the first time, uh, they have introduced simple questions, like short questions. 10 short questions in the first paper, 7 essay type questions in the second paper. You have to answer 5. This is compulsory. Uh, Now, these days, again, papers, this happened long time ago. I was also in that committee. It was like Professor Nalindra Silla was there, Shilton Perera was there. He's still in the panel, but others, I mean, only Shilton Perera and I still live. Others have already, I mean, almost everybody has passed away now, right? Uh, because those are very seniors at that time. They were like between 65 to 70. I was the youngest in the committee at that time. So uh, now, who said the paper I mean, the group have forgotten the basic idea of that. So sometimes you get very difficult questions in the first set these days, right? Okay. Now, but if you okay, usually the pass rate of any A-level subject is approximately 55%. It is true for chemistry, physics, and combined math. All pass rate is like this. Probably for the first year's pass rate is even little low, like 45%. However, in our classes, it's almost like 98%, 99, like that. Hmm. And at the same time, the rate of, the percentage of A's is like 4%, 4 to 6, usually in all three, chemistry, physics, and combined math. But in our class, it's like sometimes it might go up to 30, something like 20 to 30%, right? But somehow almost everybody gets into it, the engineering or science faculty or something in between. Like, if you do math, you have a lot of opportunities, lot of avenues, unlike the other streams, right? Because, even in the medical stream, being a doctor is a real service to the society, but it is extremely hard to be a medical professional. The nurses, doctors, I mean, they have to work very hard. They are almost on call. Like, I mean, if you become a doctor, you have to be on call all the time. If they call you, you have to go, even at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, right? But engineers don't have that problem, right? And you can either have engineering, then probably AI, mm, uh, mining. Mining means earth resource management. Usually people call as EM, textile management, and statistics and OR. Like, there are a lot of opportunities. And these days, a lot of people go for their higher studies, like from those people from Peradini and Morato. Right? They even get into very big places. Because of that, some of them get chances to work in the companies like Apple, PayPal. Like, I think there's a King Sudian among you guys, right? There's one King Sudian who works for PayPal. He was our student, and what he did really well in A levels. He became Ireland third. Uh, and now he's in PayPal, like earning big money. Like there are a lot of such examples. If you do engineering, you have those opportunities. You can probably work in Amazon, and there are a lot of chances. But if you get into some very good places, uh, you have enormous opportunities, lot of opportunities there. Right? Now people are doing really well now, even better than those days. Some people go ahead with startups. Startup means they start a company. So you have those opportunities as well. Then there's no limit for the income, right? If it's successful. And there are some people, some engineers who have patents in, you know, like some making nano sheets and stuff like that. One of our students is doing there in Canada. He has sold, patents, several patents, and uh, he's making those nano sheets and stuff like that. So you all have those opportunities, right? So it's a great thing to start with mathematics, right? Uh, because mathematics students have the best opportunities in the world, hmm, right? Now, and you can freely, I mean, you can make money while having fun. I mean, you don't have to get to life quite restricted if you do math. Because I mean, since you have several opportunities, you can go for your best opportunity. I mean, your cup of tea, or with which you are most comfortable. Right. Now, there's another thing I have to point out. That is, this is the starting level of A levels. Earlier, when you finish O levels, I mean, those days, like in 80s, 1980, in fact, you are ready to start A levels. Because those days, I'll give you one example. Uh, there's no first paper before 1980. For the first time, the first paper was introduced in 1980. Because in 1980, mathematics, the subject mathematics was made compulsory. Without passing that, you cannot do A levels. So before that, I'll give you one example. Like very first problem in math paper, oral math paper is something like this. Factor. So factorize. American way is factor, British way is factorize. So we'll do something like this. Mm, we'll go for something like this. This 50, probably the numbers, probably maybe a little larger than this, right? Hold on. Solve something like this. You're factoring. So, so it's, this is the very first problem you get in the paper. So the problems were like that. You have to you should be really good at algebra. Right. Afterwards, now people had to pass O levels. ඒකට අපි කියනවා ණයට ගන්නවා කියලා කියන්නේ. For commerce and arts people, usually if they couldn't get through, uh, they are allowed to do A levels without maths, but before sitting for the A levels, they had to pass the subject. Then still they had some problems. Therefore, they reduced the level of O levels. And later, some uh, idiotic things has introduced, like they introduced more geometry, which is not useful for us, right? Now these days you have 23% of geometry, but we don't need geometry for combined math, right? Uh, like these are the only two results we need from geometry. So if you are weak in geometry, don't worry. You can still do elements really well. Say because of your weakness in geometry, say you get a B, don't worry. But if you are weak in algebra, then there will be a problem. Right? You need to be really good at algebra. Now, this is one result in geometry you need. The angle subtended by the diameter on the circumference should be 90. That's one thing. And the other thing is this midpoint theorem. You need only those two for A levels. Still, without that, still you can do A levels and you can score 98 at least without these two. Say with zero knowledge in geometry, you can still score 98. 98 I mean, in A levels. Uh, However, they reduced for some reason, they reduced the quality of algebra you teach in O levels. Right? Therefore, there's a gap here. This gap was there throughout. Because of that, some failures were there. Then, after all, in 2017, they have introduced a gap filling time for A-level students, like 12 hours. So we have to do some, algebra, which you have missed in O levels. Some of them were studied. I mean, you have been studied some of them, but the problem is this: the exposure is not enough because you get a very easy problem in algebra, like easy thing to be factored, or it is easy thing to be simplified. Because of that, the teachers don't have to teach it. Instead, they teach geometry because you get 23% of the paper from geometry, but you get very simple questions on algebra. Because of that, you haven't tried difficult problems in algebra. Therefore, there's some weakness. It's not that you are weak. The exposure is much less. It's like this. Say you have enormous talent in cricket, but you haven't played it. Therefore, I mean, you cannot play in national level or in club level because you haven't played it at all, right? But you have a talent. It's like that. You have a talent, but uh, because of the weakness in curriculum, I don't know why they haven't done that still. They could have increased the content in algebra in O levels, but still they are not doing it. Okay. No matter what revision is, like for math students, uh, you have to cut off a lot of geometry from O levels and introduce more algebra there and introduce more difficult problems in the paper. Then only teachers and the students prepare for that. Right? And here there's a gap. So without filling that, if I start the syllabus, then you will find it really difficult. Right? Now these days, NIE, that is National Institute of Education, has introduced some 12-hour period to fill that gap. So that's what we are going to do at first. So after 3 days, we'll start the regular syllabus, that is remainder theorem. But this is the most important part. If you go through this, then you should be able to do the rest very well. Right? Because after that, it won't be a big deal. As I told you, combined maths is composed by choosing the simpler content of PO and apply. So it's easy subject. High math is difficult, but high math is more powerful. I'll tell you one reason. In 2023, uh, we had like Island Third and Island Seventh. Island Third went to Muratour. He came to Perera. He became the best top anyway. But look at the students in Muratour. They have the best, right? Clearly, they have the best people. These are island ranks. Huh? Both of them were in my class. But look what happened. In this year, in Muratour, there's a first year exam. In that first year exam, out of nearly 700 people, person who became the top, who scored the most marks, were from Amilipedia. Amilipedia, right? His island rank was 400. His island rank was 3. but he became the top. All island, even island top was not the best. He was the best. The reason is he did higher math before coming to the university, right? And because now following his footpath, there's another student. He called me a few months back. He's also doing higher math because you have to spend some time on higher math. Therefore, it might have an effect on A levels. Because of that, probably he ended up with this rank. But in campus, he became the top. High math is more powerful if you have it. I mean, however, it's very difficult. But in the university, you might do very well if you have it, right? And in last 2 years, we have, like in 2024, we had Island 8th. All three are from my class, and 2021, again, we have district, I mean, this district first, this district third, district first, district first. We had, in last 4 years, we had three district firsts. In 22, we didn't have. In fact, in 22, nobody had because the student, he's a Trinitarian. He didn't attend any classes in Candy. He was a self-learner. In fact, he was my relative, but he didn't attend my class either. Right? He again became Island third in 2022, but he didn't attend any of these classes. Uh, right. So we'll start this. Now, your aim should be like this. It's not like O levels. You have to work a little harder. But you have to understand the shape of the subject. I mean, the reason is this. In O levels, term tests, and I would say O level paper, no matter what subject is, they are almost equal. They have the same setup, same pattern and everything. Therefore, in Candy, we have very good O level results. Usually, all the time, we are among, I mean, district-wise, district-wise, like Colombo, Candy, goal usually among first one, two, three, the first three. But in A levels, it's different. Term test is not equal to A levels. Therefore, if you look at the term tests, if you try to prepare for that, then you are preparing for something else that is there. So if you rely on term tests in O levels, yes, it's a must. You have to do it. In Candy, they do a great job in O levels, right? However, in A levels, it's different. Term tests are something totally different from A-level paper. Therefore, altogether, not in math. Math is doing little better. We have 14th rank in among districts, but overall, Kandy has 23rd rank out of 25 districts. I am not telling that, except the Department of Examination in their statistical report, they have this. For arts, it's 25th rank, arts. Then commerce had 24th rank. I think technology has 21. Maths is little better. We had 14th rank, still 14th. Probably it is because of our class. We had nearly 200 students and almost everybody got through. Because of that, that goal has gone up. But otherwise, still, 23rd is not good. Right. Okay, so we'll start. The first thing is, okay, this basic algebra. We only do algebra, not anything else, not the other parts. One, factors. So this is, are these letters large enough for you? Can you see it clearly? Between two squares. Sometimes you might think, oh, this is easy. Not really, yeah? This is not easy. I'll show you. If you have something like this, you can factor this. If A and B are the roots of this, you can write it as A minus B times A plus B. The proof goes like this. You start with the right-hand side because you know that's where you have something. A minus B times A plus B. So multiply. A times A squared. A times B, AB. Minus B times A, minus AB. When you multiply these two, you get minus B squared. Now plus AB and minus AB will go away. You will end up with this. So that is the left-hand side. Therefore, you can say that A squared minus B squared is A minus B times A plus B. Right. Now we'll do some examples. Numerical units factor, otherwise factorize. Like they say factoring, others say factorizing. Right. Now we'll start with off with a very simple one. Anyway, I'll give you several examples so that I can check whether you are really good at that or not. I'll do a couple of them. Sometimes in O levels, when this is introduced for the first time, you are asked to write it like this: x squared minus 5 squared. Then you factor. But these you are elite students, you don't have to do it like that. You know that it is 5 squared. So x minus 5, x plus 5. You should write it. I mean, it's better to write it below this one. I'll do the third. Oh no, you do it. We'll see how you do them. Then if you have any difficulty, I'll teach. I'll do these problems. Then I'll give you some problems from the tute. Okay, take this down and do this. Right. Nobody got this right. I have everything right, but I think two of you, got the first five correct. That's even good enough, huh? So this is how you have to do it. Uh, I don't think you have any problem with the second. I'll do the third. You have done, some of you have done the third problem correctly, but they have missed the fourth problem. Fourth table අනුවත් තියෙන එක කාලා දෙන්න එකයි. මේ ඔගොල්ලෝ හොඳ ඇත්තට. ඔගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙන problem එක තමයි මේ ඒ කියන්නේ algebra exposure එක නැතිකම අඩුකම. Because that is there, you know. That's why this part is introduced at the beginning. Because even though much attention is focused to geometry, that is not done with algebra. හැබැයි algebra තමයි ඇත්තටම අපිට ඕන ඒ රිසල්ට් වලට. algebra එකේ අර ගණන් හදලා ලොකු ගණන් හදලා තියෙනවා මදි. That's a basic shortcoming. Right? So we'll do this. Now next time you will do well. Right? We'll see. Now, if you want to factor something, no matter what it is, it may be a difference between two squares or difference between two cubes or whatever. The very first thing you need to do is to get the common factor out. Common factor out, right? Get the common factor out. It is 2. If you do that, you get 25. And some of you have done it like this. It's wrong. You can divide an equation by 2. Like say, you have something like this. Then you can divide it by 2. You can divide both sides by 2. But if you make these two equal, that is wrong. They can be delivered. This has been divided by 2. Then these two are not equal. It is like saying 10 is equal to 5. You have to pull it out. Then, now this is the difference between two squares, like this. You factor it. Most of you have done this correctly. Fourth, only 2 of you got the fourth one. Out of that, 1% thinks he's weak in math. I'd say no. You're not weak in math. No? We can make a current. Okay. In this case, you have 4x squared minus 36. Then now this is the difference between two squares. Right? Therefore, most of you, which is not wrong, right? Go ahead with, okay, this is 2x continuous squared minus 6, 2x plus 6. Now, you have claimed this to be the answer. No, there's a common factor here. Mitra factor 2 kila. So this is not the final version. It's not wrong. I didn't put a wrong sign, wrong mark there. It's it is incomplete. Right? It is incomplete because you're not supposed to do that. The very first thing you need to do. Now, no matter, as I told you, no matter what it is, problem you have to pull out the common factor. The common factor here is 4. There's a common factor. Like you did here. You have to make it The reason is because this is straight away a difference between two squares. Therefore, you straight away stick to that. No matter what the problem is, you have to pull out the common factor. Common factor pull out that's the very first thing you need to do. So you get this. Now this is the difference between two squares. Now you can factor it like this. So the same is true for the fifth. You have 9x squared minus 36. I mean, those who have factored it like 3x minus 6, 3x plus 6 are really good. But that's not the way you have to do this. The make a 3x or a square logo identify right? It's not bad. You know, to make a cron you have to pull out the common factor first. That is 9, because otherwise the problem will be incomplete. You get 4 here. Now this is the difference between two squares. You get x minus 2 times x plus 2. Right? Then we'll go to this. This is kind of difficult. Nobody has got, one person got it, but he was not sure. Therefore, he erased that. Right. Now, this is the difference between two squares because this is the square of, I mean, you don't have to insert this step, but I just want to stress that. Now, this is the square of x squared. This is the square of 4. You don't have to write this. Now, okay, how do you factor this? X squared minus 4, right? This 4 squared, no? The next one is x squared plus 4. Now, you are not done it. Huh? This is not wrong, but this is not the final version. Why? This is again a difference between two squares. So you have to factor it again. X minus 2 times x plus 2, right? Then what else? I'll do this. 7. You can pull out 2. 2 is a common factor. No, it's very similar to the previous, the same as the previous one. So this is the square of x squared. This is the square of 4. So difference times the sum. Then again, this is a difference between two squares. So x minus 2 times x plus 2 times this. That's the 7th. Now the 8th. I'll do those two, right? I mean, this is why this section has to be done earlier. Now, okay. Now, this is the square of what? Oh, you can write it like this if you want to. This 4 squared. This is the square of x squared. Right? Oh, I can straight away write it like this. 4 x squared continuous squared minus 9 squared. Now, this is the root. Here, the 9 is the root. Now, you can write it like this. That's fine, but still, look. This is the difference between two squares. So it is 2x minus 3, 2x plus 3. Right? This. The last. X squared, y squared minus 4x squared. Now in this case, yeah, both are squares. That's fine. But if you write it as xy minus 2x, then xy plus 2x, that's wrong because that's incomplete, not wrong. You have to pull out the common factor first. So it is x squared. Then you get y squared minus 4. This is a difference between two squares. Right? I mean, you encounter these type of things regularly. Again, syllabus trigonometry or algebra, right? So you need this. You need to be really fluent in this, in factoring these type of stuff. Okay, yeah, you take that down. Then again, I'll give you a problem. You do problem number 2. There are altogether 18 parts. You do the first 15. That would be enough. After that, the second problem, you do from part A to part O, the first 15 problems. Making two of you got everything correct. Others got just, uh, like almost everything correct, like 15 out of 16. Uh, Mechanic may mistake කරලා තිබුණා. But that is expected, na? Now, if you have a like product or division in between two squares, you can uh, pull out the power like this. Or if you have something like that, you can distribute the power. මේ power එක මෙහෙම දෙකටම දාන්න පුළුවන්. That's why we call it as distribution. Now, if you have something like that, you can distribute these two over the division and multiplication. However, if you have addition and subtraction, you cannot do that. So these two are wrong. Right. I'll give you one example to this. Say, first I'll algebraically explain you. X plus a quantity squared is x plus a times x plus a. Now, when you expand it, you get x squared, then you have ax. Then when you multiply these two, you get another ax. Then a times a is a squared. Look, of course, you have x squared and a squared, but you have two ax terms. So this is not equal to, like, this is not equal to that because you have an extra term here. That's an algebraic way of explaining it. In a geometric way, I'll take this x and this length is a. If I form a square, what is the area of this square? Area. This is x plus a, this is also x plus a. So the area is x plus a quantity square. Right? Now, if I take this area, what is it? This is x squared. This is a squared. So sum of these two cannot be written like this because these two areas are missing. Right? This is ax. This is also ax. So that will give you 2ax. Right? Therefore, x squared plus a squared is not equal to this. Never ever write that. People you should write it like that. Some people, because that's why we are doing this part. Because you all know that if you expand it, it will be like this. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't know that. You know it. But when you happen to see something like this, you tend to write it like this. It's because the lack of exposure. Even though you know it, you haven't seen it much. And you sometimes write it like that, which is wrong. Okay. It's not your mistake though. It's the problem with our curriculum. The curriculum revision එක කරනකොට ඒකෙත් ඔය ඕ ටික ඔක්කොම තියෙනවා වැඩක් නැහැ හින්දා. කියන්නේ they say that the students go under enormous pressure. ඒනොට pressure point එක අඳුරගන්නේ නැහැ ඒගොල්ලෝ. Revision එක කරනවා නිකන්. Revision එකේ කිච්චර වැඩක් නැහැ මම හිතන්නේ. Now, every subject has the same problem. Like, say, Sinhala, for example, the Sinhala, Hinaya Guda, Samas, but you don't need all of them, right? Finally, after O levels, you don't use it that much. Either solid ටික විතරක් ඕනම ටික විතරක් ඒකේ දැම්මනම් O level pressure එක අඩුයි. අර unnecessary ගොඩාක් කරන්න දෙයක්. In every subject it is like that. In commerce, commerce වලත් ටිකක් වැඩිපුර තියෙනවා. Again, they teach the same thing, same stuff in A levels. A levels teach කරන අරක ඕනේ නැහැ. ඒක තව පොඩ අඩු කරන්න පුළුවන්. Maths වල තියෙන්නේ you teach something which is not very useful. Can geometry හින්දා තමයි ප්‍රශ්න එක වැඩි maths වලට. හැබැයි geometry මොනවද A level වලට ඕන වෙන්නේ නැහැ. University එකේ ඒත් ඕන වෙන්නේ නැහැ. So what's the point of doing that? No point. කොහෙන් හරි කවුරු එකෙක් දැකලා මේක syllabus එකට දාන්න. For example, geometry can improve the thinking patterns and stuff like that. No, nothing like that happens. Even without geometry, with algebra, you can think. So geometry, we have to do geometry a little bit. That's fine. But we are doing too much. We don't need them. I mean, if you do math Olympiad, yes, you need that. But only how many people do that? Nearly 10 in this district. Probably in old Sri Lanka, probably 100. But only few people get selected for the team, like 6 people. Therefore, I don't think that effort is true because others are toiling themselves because of very few people. ඒක අපරාධයක්. ටික දිනකට නෙවෙයි. හැමෝම ඉතින් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒක අපරාධ. Right. If right. So we'll go for the next. That is the difference between two cubes. In the second attempt, you had done a comprehensive job. ඒක ලස්සනට කරලා තියෙනවා. සිරාවට. ඒ කියන්නේ අන්තිමට problem set එක ගොඩක් අය හොඳට කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ 16 එක නෑ හැබැයි නේ 15 16 දෙන්නේ එක නෑ. 15 හතරක් පහක් ඉන්නවා. 12 වගේ ඉන්නවා. It's okay. That's absolutely fine. And your presentation of the answers is extremely good. Right? Again, presentation answers. දීලා තියෙන විදිහ සෑහෙන හොඳයි. There are a lot of positives in there. I mean, as expected, because there should be a progressive growth like this every year. Like we have seen this till 2021. After that, due to COVID, it went down. Now we regained the same path again. Because I see in 27, there's a huge growth compared to 26. 26 is also good compared to 25. Like 23 is the lowest step. In 24, 25, 26, we see the growth. 27 group is very good. You should be better. තාම අපි මේ කර්ව් එක උඩට එනවා. අර වැටිච්ච එක කියන්නේ අවුරුදු 3ක් විතර මුකුත් ස්ටඩීස් නැතුව හිටියනේ අපි ඉඳලානේ ආවේ. For 22 and 23 in particular, their studies were interrupted when they were in O levels and starting point of A levels. That's why their performance went down. Now you're doing, I hope, I mean, 27 is doing very well and 28 would do little better. Right. Now we'll start the next 1.2. Difference between two cubes. This how you don't take this down. Just look at this. Later, I'll give you time for you to take that down. This how you factor this. Now, if you have something like this, you close these powers. What you see is a minus b, right? Or if it's not clear to you, I'll bring that little down a little bit. So say you have something like this. So if you close this, what you see is a minus b. So that is your first factor. The second factor can be obtained using this, right? Similarly, we'll do them together because they have the same shape. Again, close this. What you see is a plus b. So that should be your first factor, a plus b. Second factor can be composed using this, right? So this is how it is done. You square this, then you square the other one, then get the product, place it in the middle. They are again the same thing. Square this, square b, then get the product and place it in the middle. Now, we have to be fair here. Now here, sign is changed. Sign is change, sign is alternate, plus to minus. So if something happens, something like that happens in one factor, you have to keep the sign of the other factor intact. You can sign the change karanne. Make a change, make a change. Here there's a change, here there's no change. Now, what about the second case? Here there's no change. Sign is always positive. Therefore, in the second factor, you have to change the sign, alternate the sign. Plus, minus like that. This should be plus, minus, plus. So that's a pattern. So you first get the factor by closing this. Then the terms should be alike in both cases. However, here, if there's a sign change, you have to be fair. The kind of socialism, right? If there's no sign change, here there's a sign change. There's sign change, therefore, there's no sign change here. In the second case, there's a sign change. Here, you automatically get the first factor. Second factor, when you compose the second factor, you have to think about the sign. That's all. Now we'll prove this. We'll start from the right-hand side. You have a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. So we'll multiply a times a squared, a cube, a times ab. You have a squared b, a times b squared. You have ab squared. Now multiply. Minus b times a squared, that is a squared b. When you multiply these two, you get ab squared. Oh, sorry, it's minus. Negative times positive, negative. When you multiply these two, negative b cube. So when you add them up, these two are similar terms and one is positive, one is negative. They go away. They go away. You have this, which is the left-hand side. Therefore, right. Similarly, we'll start with the right-hand side. So you have a plus b times this. Now we'll eliminate the bracket. So when you multiply these two, you get a cube. Then when you multiply these two, you get minus a squared b, right? Then when you multiply these two, you get ab squared. Then you multiply these two, you get a squared b. I'll write it beneath this. Then when you multiply these two, a, just one a and two b. So ab squared, but it's negative. Finally, when you multiply these two, you get b cube. These two will go away, leaving you with b cube, which is the left-hand side. Right. Now we'll do some examples. Not from the tutorial, we'll do some. Okay. Factor O factorize. Huh? 1. Hold on. Right. I'll put plus sign there. Right. Now in the first problem, this is 3 cube. You don't have to write this step. You don't have to, because you don't know. We're going to explain Migati. You close this. But what you see is x minus 3. But at the beginning, you know this is 3 cubes. So you without this, you can compose this one. Now, what about the second factor? Now, get the 3 terms first. Square this. Make a square gram and make a square gram of 9. Product 3x. Now, here's the sign alternates. Here you have to fix the sign. Whether make a change or not, make a change. So that is the answer. Here. This is now both of them are cubes, but look, you can write it as 2x quantity cube. This is 8 cube. However, when you factor something, the main thing is to pulling out the factors, no matter what shape you have. If you have a common factor, you need to pull that out. Here it is 8. Then you have x cube minus 8. It is 2 cube. You know that it's 2 cube. So you can write it as x minus 2. Because it's 2 cube. If you write it like that, you get x minus 2. Then the second factor is you square this. Square of 2, you get 4. Then get the product. Then, here the sign changes, alternates. You can make a sign make a change, To make a sign make a change, karani? Ne. Right. Here. Yeah, you both are cubes, but you have a common factor, x cube. Then you get x cube y to the power 4 minus 1. Now this is the cube of the cube root of this is x, this is y squared cube minus 1. If you want, you can write it as 1 cube. So close this. The first factor would be this xy squared minus 1. Now the second factor should be composed. How can you do that? Square this. Because square karadi make it power 2 vena, make it power 4 vena. You have to multiply it by 2. So x to the power 2, y to the power 4. Make a square root 1. The product will be xy squared. Here the sign changes. Therefore, here the sign is fixed. Right. Now the fourth. You can take it. I mean, there are two ways of doing it here. You can first, if you see this as a difference between two squares, like one square, so you can, it's simply x cube minus 1, x cube plus 1. Right? Now, what is this? This is a difference between two cubes. This is a sum of two cubes. Right? Then, I mean, just for the sake of clarity, I mean, you don't have to do it like that. Since I'm working on the board, I have to be clearer. So that's why I'm doing it like this. Now close this. What you see is x minus 1. And you have another factor here. What about the? When you close this, what you see is x plus 1. Now we'll factor this. You have now, you compose the other two factors. Square this, make a square run. Square this, get the product. It's x. Now here the sign alternates. So what happens? Here sign doesn't alternate. What about this? In this factor, okay, write x squared. Then the square of this is 1. Right? Then the product is x. Then what happens? Here the sign remains intact. Again, sign like a change in ne, make a sign like a change. Right? It's a little difficult. Huh? Now what about this? You have a common factor. You pull it out. I mean, what I'm going to write next can be skipped. Now close this. What you see is x plus 3. That's your first factor. I mean, you could have straight got, you could have got it from there. Now compose the second factor. Square this. Square 3, you get 9. Product is 3x. Since this is here, there's no sign change. Sign should be alternated in the second factor. Now here, x cube plus 5 cube. When you close this, you get x plus 5. The second factor would be you square this. You square 5, you get 25. Get the product, 5x. Here the sign doesn't change, therefore here sign should be changed. Right? Here. X cube is common. If you have a common factor, you need to pull that out. These are a little difficult. Huh? Here you get 125. 125 is 5 cube. Now you can factor this. How do you factor? You close this. What you see, you can make a home pain. What you see is y plus 5. That's your first factor. Now using this, you have to find the second factor. You can make a balatama second factor. Now you square this. You square to 5, you get 25. Get the product. 5y. Since the sign remains unchanged, sign should be changed there. Here. There are a lot of common factors. Y cube is common. Z cube is common. You will end up with whole x to the power 6 is there. You get y cube, Z cube. Since you pull this out, you have 8. I think we'll drop this. So this is a little difficult, but anyway, it's okay. Now write this as a cube. Okay, how do you write this as a cube? This is clearly 2 cube. What about this? When you pull out 3, what do you get inside? What's the power of x? 2, right? What's the power of y? 1. Power of z will also be 1. For the multiply, make it. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3, right? Now close this. Then by doing so, you can write the first factor. X squared y z plus 2. The second factor, you have to square this. What do you get when you square? Because square karandi ekeka power multiply not deke. So you have to multiply each power by 2. You get x to the power 4. This will be y squared. This will be z squared. When you square this, you get 4. Then in the middle, you have to write the product. Multiply 2 times this. 2 times x squared y z. Now here sign remains unchanged. So make a sign change when the second factor, sign should be changed. Right. Okay, you take that down. Then do the third problem. Everything, right? Just to take this down, then do the third problem. I forgot to list the problems here. For the online people. Here, I mean, I just go through this. These two cube, this is not a must step. We don't have to write it. Straight away, you can identify that these two cubes. So if you close this, what you see is x minus 2. The other factor can be obtained by squaring this. Then square 2, you get 4. Then you get 2x. Here the sign alternates. Therefore, you have to keep the sign of the other two intact. Don't change it. Right. These are kind of straightforward. 5 will be little challenging. We'll see. Yeah, I have, I have used ABC. Yeah, I have messed up with the numbering. Numbering means this should be D, but one row was deleted. So this is G, H. Just give me 10 minutes. Huh? I have forgotten to list them early. Some of you have, missed a few of them, not everything. Here. Even though you have figured this out, I'll do this, right? This is 3 cubed. So you could have straight away taken the first factor, then the same thing, square this, square 3, you get 9. The product of these two is 3x. Sign should be positive because here you have a sign change. I leave this. Here, you have to pull out the common factor. Common factor is 2. You will end up with this. This is in fact, I mean, you don't have to go through this step, but I'll do this for you so that it will be clearer. It's 2y cubed. When you have a product, you can pull out a power. Now, if you close this, you get x minus 2y. That should be your first factor. The second factor can be obtained by squaring this, then square this. When you square this, you have to square each and every term. Product is 2xy. Here, there's a sign change. Therefore, here there's no sign change. Here, you can pull out 3. This is 3 cubed. So, the first factor is alpha minus 3. The second factor is alpha squared. This is 9. The product is 3 alpha. Sign should kept intact. Now, here, this is alpha, like the cube of alpha squared. Here you can pull out the cube. Now, if you close this, you get alpha squared plus beta squared gamma squared. That's your basic factor. The second factor will be you square this, you get alpha to the power 4, then the product, alpha squared, beta squared, gamma squared. Then the square of this is beta to the power 4, gamma to the power 4. Here the sign is positive, so no sign change. So here you have to alternate the sign. I, J. Here you can pull out almost everything, 9x cube y cube. So you will end up with x cube y cube minus 1. Again, if you close this, you get xy minus 1. That's the first factor. The second factor can be obtained like this. You square this, square 1, then get the product xy. Here, there's a sign change. Therefore, there's no sign change in the second factor. Uh, I'll do one more. Minus 8x cube y cube. Now here you can pull out 8 from numbers. You can pull out, if you compare x, you can pull out x to the power 3, y to the power 3. So you will end up with 8x cube y cube minus 1. This is 2xy, quantity cube, 1 cube. You don't have to write that step. You can straight away factor it. Now, if you close this, you get 2xy minus 1. In the second factor, when you square this, you get 4x squared y squared. The square of this is 1. Product is 2xy. There's a sign change. Therefore, here there's no sign change. It should go like that. Right. So as I expected you, the skills in algebra and the way you presented it is much better than the students we had few years back, because their studies were interrupted by COVID. And as I told you, there's a progressive growth. So you should be definitely better than the students we had in 2020. It should be like that, no? So I think you did all right towards the end. Sometimes, one can argue that the speed is little, no, again, speed, steps, the answers are complete. Putty mistakes, careless mistakes, that's okay. Basically, you have done a good job, but don't do this. If you have like x squared plus y squared, it is not equal to this. So if you cannot do this for a square, don't do it for a cube. Don't do this. This is wrong. Right? You cannot do it. When you have a negative sign or positive sign in between, you cannot pull out the power. If you have product, you can do that. No matter how many terms you have, say you have x cubed, y to the power 9, z to the power 12. You can pull out 3. Then this will be x. This is y cubed. This is z to the power 4. You can do that. Even for division, yes, you can do that. But with addition and subtraction, you cannot pull out powers. Right, powers to get it on the bear. Since this is our first day, I think it should be okay. But we have to do one more factoring, like trinomials. But this the first day, I think you have finished your O levels like 4 or 5 days back. You deserve a break on one hand. However, we also need to cover the syllabus as soon as possible. That's why we started today. So next week, again, we'll have a shorter class, like probably we can wind up by this time. From third day onwards, we'll have the full time. Because in O levels, we have 2-hour classes. Now, A levels are 2-hour classes, so we manage කරන්න මමාරුයි. අපිට 600 hours cover කරන්න තියෙනවා. ඒක සමහර subjects වල පුළුවන්, like art subjects වල පුළුවන්. මොකද ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒ theory එක දුන්නා මෙතන ඉවරයි. But here we have to develop a certain skill. You can skill එක නේ maths වල පුරුදු වෙන්නේ. So when you develop a skill, you have to practice it. So in class also, you have to do a lot of problems. As a theoretical taggali work, but you need to do a lot of problems here, various different types of problems. Rainisa, the 600 hours, someone, I think. Product efficiently kind of 550 only work on. We at least we have to start use 550. So that's why with 2 hour classes we can complete it. But in commerce and arts, yes, they have 2 hour classes. But we cannot do it in 2 hour classes. Right? Therefore, from third class onwards, we'll have it from 9:30 to 12, 9 to 12:30. Okay. So I'll see you next week. Next week, we'll continue with the trinomial factors and expansions. Next day will be a little faster because, we had to drag ourselves a little bit in the first part. Again, first part, again, mistakes, the one, in the product will again, after that, it's okay. You're doing good now. I mean, almost, like few people got perfect answers. So that's good. I mean, your presentations are really good, no matter, even though you made a couple of careless mistakes, presentation is extremely, I mean, near perfect. So that's good. That's something that if your presentation is bad, it's extremely hard to correct it because that's the kind of a habit. In your case, presentation is very good. You are well trained to present the stuff clearly. ඒක හොඳ පොසිටිව් එකක්. මිස්ටේක්ස් ඉතින් අපි කාටවත් වෙනවනේ. මේක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මේ මිස්ටේක් එක වෙන්නේ අපේ එක්ස්පෝෂර් එක අඩු හින්දා. Not because you are good, no, you are not good at that. ඒක ප්‍රැක්ටිස් අඩුයි මේක වෙනවා සාමාන්‍යයෙන්. ඒක තමයි මෙඩික් කරන්නේ. This is reason, right? It's not that you are weak or something. But algebra නියම මේ ප්‍රැක්ටිස් එක නෑ හරියට අපිට අඩුයි. That's the same thing happened to our Sri Lankan cricket. හරි. enormous talent එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා හැබැයි බඩු වෙන්නේ නැහැ perform කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ වෙන්නේ එහෙමයි අර exposure එක මදි ඉතින් ඇත්තට. හරි. ඒ සමහර අඩුපාඩු තියෙනවා. දැන් මේ ක්‍රිකට් වල ඇත්තටම අපිට නැහැ ස්ටැටිස්ටිෂියන් කෙනෙක් නැහැ. කියන්නේ ඒවල තියෙනවනේ මේ ප්ලේයර් එද්දි මූ අවුට් වෙන්නේ මොන බෝල් එකටද? මෙයා ගන්න පුළුවන් කොයි රීජන් එකේ කැච් එකකින්ද? කොයි ඒ වගේ ඒවා මුකුත් එහෙම ස්ටඩි කරන්නේ නෝමල් ෆීල්ඩ් එකනේ අපි සිට් කරන්නේ. ඒවා ස්ටඩි කරන්නේ. ඒතකොට ඒකේ ඒ වගේ වල එක්ස්පෝස් වෙන්නේ අපේ ටීම් එක. ඒ same thing here. දැන් මේක ඇල්ජිබ්‍රා එක්ස්පෝෂර් අඩු හින්දා තමයි මෙහෙම වෙන්නේ. නැත්නම් මේගොල්ලන්ගේ වීක්නස් එක නෙමෙයි. ඊට පස්සේ ක්‍රිකට් වල තියෙනනේ ඒ වගේ අඩුපාඩු ගොඩක්. අපිට ත්‍රෝවර් කෙනෙක් නැහැ. ත්‍රෝ කියන්නේ ෆාස්ට් බෝලර්ස්ලට ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරු වෙන්න කියන්නේ to be familiar with the fast bowlers. Again, I mean, world Sri Lankan throw is the best throw in the world now. Throw කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා ලංකාවේ. එයා ලංකාවේ මේව කරද්දි මොකක් හරි ප්‍රොබ්ලම් එකක් කියලා මෙහින් ක්‍රිකට් බෝඩේ අයින් කරපුවා. ප්ලේයර්ස්ලා කැමති වෙලා නැහැ. රීසන්ට් ප්ලේයර්ස් දැන් ප්ලේ කරන්නේ නැහැ තමයි. ත්‍රෝගේ මෙහෙම එක ත්‍රෝ ගන්න ඇඟට ගහන බෝලේ. හරිද? ඒතකොට ඉන්ජර් වෙනවා කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ ඉන්දියා hired him because he is the best throw in the world. Kohli එයාට තමයි ක්‍රෙඩිට් එක දෙන්නේ for his development. يعني Kohli හොඳ බැට්ස්මන් කෙනෙක් වෙන්න ප්‍රධානම රීසන් එක කියලා කියන්නේ throw. he is a Sri Lankan. ඒක අපේ ටීම් එකට නෑ. ඒ වගේ නිකම් එක්සැම්පල්ස් කිව්වේ. So ඒ කියන්නේ performance හොඳට එන්න නම් ඒ exposure එක තියෙන්න ඕන. right? So ඒ කියන්නේ මේකේ උගල ගොඩක් problems කරලා නෑ. ඒක තමයි උගලන්ට වෙන්නේ. කියන්නේ it's not your fault though. මොකද ගොඩක් problems කරා කියලා reward එකක් නෑ. What is the reward you are going to get? You get easy problem in algebra. Therefore, you don't have to toil yourself in doing difficult problems. They කරන්න ඕනේ. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරනවාද කියන්නකෝ මොකක් හරි subject එකේ problems වගේ දැන් අපි කියමු take a quadratic equation. You don't put 1040x squared times 3240x something like that. You don't solve those. You solve 6x squared minus 6 minus 1 type problems. With that, what's the point? No point. ඒ නිසා එහෙම කරන්නේ මේ ඒකට ඒතර performance වලදී ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන විශේෂයෙන් A level වල පොඩි gap එකක් තියෙන හින්දා A level වල ඒ ගන්න මදි algebra වල ඔයගොල්ලෝ අනිත් හොඳයි. And there's another thing because it's a problem with the examination department. One problem is there like where you get logarithms and තව වෙනවනේ volumes කියලා එක volumes එක logarithm problem එකකින් A levels වල. So people hate logarithms. Therefore, they skip that problem sometimes. Not sometimes. ඒතර වෙන්නේ ඒ volume problem අපිට නිතර ඕන. Volume problem එක ඕන වෙනවා problems දෙකක. Center of gravity and applications of derivatives. You need that exposure in both problems. Since people skip that problem, people find it little hard to do those the problems associated with application of derivatives. You did look at the scenarios for chemistry and physics. But they are, because you think putting negative sign in, you can avoid that. In errors, you can avoid that. In orders, you have to do it. Okay. So I'll see you next week. Next week, we'll continue with trinomials. Then expansions, like binomial, trinomial, those. Okay. So I'll see you next week. Next week at the same time. Again, we'll wind up by the same time. Third day, we'll do the class till 12:30.